perhaps more than any other verse in Proverbs, the one that is most powerful in terms of why I am here is Proverbs 10:22. It says, "It is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich, and he adds no sorrow to it." You see, there are riches that are contaminated with sorrow, and there are riches that are free from sorrow. So the key is, what kind of riches do you want, and what kind of riches do I want? Are the ones that are free, that are not contaminated with sorrow. It is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. Now, the word Lord there is the Hebrew word sometimes translated as Yahweh. It's a specific deity, the one who created the heavens and the earth. It is the blessing of Yahweh that makes rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. The word sorrow is used only 3 times in the Old Testament, and it's first used when Eve said that she would have children, but the children would come with sorrow. That is to say, with difficulty, with pain, with toil and trouble. When God gives blessings, that is to say, when the Lord gives blessings in our lives, he doesn't have strings attached. He doesn't add sorrow, difficulty, misery to it. That's different than when money comes in, which is not blessed with God's blessing. Money comes in an underhanded means, or in a way which is not honoring of the Lord. It is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich, and he has no sorrow to it. These kind of riches have been experienced, for example, with Joseph in the Old Testament, who in one day went from being in the prison as a poor prisoner to becoming prime minister in Egypt, became very wealthy, and God added no sorrow to that blessing. And even Job said, who really withstood God's testing very well, "The Lord has given, the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord." And God is a God of pure blessing. This truth is elaborated upon and is really made very clear by this character when you go to wisdomwithwealth.org. And if you go to this character here, Blessed Bob, and you will find all the proverbs that have to do with the whole concept of having money with sorrow and without sorrow. Blessed Bob here is enjoying God's blessings. They're not always financial, but they're always good. It is a blessing of the Lord that makes rich. He adds no sorrow to it. So it's very important that when you think about money, and when I think about money, when we think about money, we really are not so much concerned about the buying power of money, but the blessing power of money. So Proverbs 10:22, it is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich. He adds no sorrow to it. It's not so important how much money you have, how much buying power you have. What's really important is the blessing component within that dollar that you earned. It is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich, and the Lord adds no sorrow to it. You know, the farmer that had the bumper crop in the New Testament, he was already very rich, and he in fact became super rich. He was going to prepare to tear down his barns, but he made a major mistake in that he excluded God from his financial planning, and he was dead the next day. So, whether you're rich or poor or somewhere in between, and if you're able to watch this video, let me suggest that you're richer than you think you are. The point is, what I strongly advise you to really look at is the Lord for his blessing, because it is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich, and he has no sorrow to it. That's the kind of wealth you want. You want wealth that is not contaminated, tainted, polluted with misery and trials. And believe me, there's nothing that bothers a rich man more than to see a poor man who's very happy.